This week on Pitchside Weekly, we got a jam-packed show. There's been a ton of trades and moves in the NWSL offseason. We got to talk about El Clásico going to Real Madrid, and I'll even throw in a little preview for some of the Champions League action coming up over the next couple of days. So stay tuned right here on Pitchside Weekly.
Oh, yeah. I'm not the type of brother to play with. See a lot of people acting like all ball players sounding like haters. We the young kings of this generation,
What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Pitchside with Parker. As I said in a couple of the recent videos, I'm sorry about the lack of videos from last week, but we're making up for it this week. So if you haven't seen the last few that I just put out, go ahead and check those out. I got a couple Arsenal related videos, just did one on Pep Guardiola as well, a new Excuse My Agenda. So go show some love on those videos, and thank you for clicking on this one. If you're new around here, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. Be sure to follow me on Twitter as well. That's something I wanted to tell everybody, is that, there are going to be some weeks where I do struggle to put some videos out. This week it just happened that I had to re-record a few videos. And in the meantime, it is good to follow me on Twitter because I'm always active on there, and I do give you updates about videos and what you can expect and all of that on there. So be sure to follow me. I'll give you a follow back, and the link to that is in the description. So question of the day today. This is a new thing we're doing in every video. Today, my question is, which Champions League game are you most excited for this week? Simple question. Go ahead and leave the answer in the comments. And with all that talking done, let's get into the video. So we're going to start headline story this week with some off-season news from the NWSL. Now, there was a couple of big trades that went down, and those are where we're going to start. First, Dunn heading to Portland Thorns in a 3-team trade between NC Courage, OL Reign, and Portland. Now, my understanding of this deal is that North Carolina Courage didn't have a lot of leverage here. They knew they were going to lose Dunn, and apparently she really wanted to go to Portland anyway. Portland Thorns knew that, and they did their best to get this trade done without losing Lindsey Horan, which was a huge deal for them. And the way that they were able to make that happen was by involving OL Reign in the trade as well. So the way that it fully went down in the end is that North Carolina Courage got Casey Murphy, goalkeeper from OL Reign, and $150K in cash, which to them is decent because, as I said, they didn't have a lot of leverage. So they had to get something, and to upgrade goalkeeper is definitely good for NC Courage. It can't totally offset the loss of Dunn because she's such an amazing and versatile player. However, they did need an improvement at goalkeeper, and so that should be good for them. And then OL Reign, for taking their part in the trade, actually got a pretty good haul as well. They got a future first-round pick, they got an international slot, and they got about $250K in cash from Portland. All that put together makes the value of Dunn around like $300K or so. So I saw that pointed out by Charles Olney on Twitter, and he basically said that's very similar to what Chelsea paid for Pernilla Harder when they paid $350K for her. So this is a huge blockbuster deal in terms of women's soccer signings. And then the second move I wanted to get to just came out today as I'm recording this video, and it was a move for the newest NWSL franchise, Racing Louisville. Now, they got Savannah McCaskill and Yuki Nagasato from Chicago Red Stars. McCaskill and Nagasato are attacking players from Red Stars, certainly well liked by the fans. I think especially in the case of Nagasato, they will definitely be missed by Chicago. But the interesting part about this deal is what Chicago got in return. And essentially, from the statement put out by Racing Louisville, they exchanged those players and a pick and some cash for full protection in the upcoming expansion draft, which is on November 12th. So essentially, if you're looking at it from Chicago's standpoint, they decided that these two players were expendable enough to where it was worth getting protection for the rest of their team. I've never seen a deal like this go down before. I didn't even know it was really possible to trade protection in a draft, but apparently they're allowed to do it, and that's what they did. So it's all about leverage right now in the NWSL offseason. Every team is kind of plotting their own moves, and although Chicago did give up a lot for, that protection, they gave up players plus picks plus international slots plus cash. They had built up a lot of resources to do something just like that, so they're kind of betting on what they already have as we head towards the expansion draft and just feeling like that should be good enough for them. And then for Louisville, Again, they get 2 good attacking players, and so I'm sure they'll be very happy with that. Something to build their new attack around, and those are the 2 only official players that they have on the roster so far. And that leads us into the expansion draft, which is on November 12th. And I just got done reading an article from Meg Linehan on The Athletic about kind of some more of the details of the expansion draft, because they haven't been published by the NWSL at all, like in terms publicly at all. And so it was cool to actually get some of the details, and she put it in The Athletic. So I did want to include this in the video in case some of y'all are not subscribed to The Athletic. To put it as simply as possible, there's 18 picks. Louisville will get to pick 2 players from each NWSL team, the other 9 teams. All the other teams are allowed to protect 11 players, and they can protect 2 national team players. And then Louisville, they can only pick 2 national team players total. However, there is a little twist where if they don't use both of those national team picks, they will be given a cash incentive. So basically, they get $75K in allocation money for each of those US picks that they don't use. So if they don't pick any US players, they'll get 150 grand for that. And what Meg Linehan noted in the article is that this could be the strategy for them, maybe, is to actually not try to pick any US players in the expansion draft, bank that money, and then they're already going to have the number 1 pick in the college draft next year. And there's a certain player at Stanford named Katarina Mercario, and she is a phenomenal player. I urge you to go look up her highlights on YouTube. I might even link them in the description or something, but she's dirty, and she is, by all accounts, going to be the number 1 pick. And so if she does declare for the draft, they might just try to build around her. Again, bank up more cash, bank up their picks, and just kind of build for the future. But yeah, it's all very interesting. There's going to be a ton of strategy that goes into it, and we've already seen in these NWSL deals that every single team is starting to think about it. And so it's going to be really interesting how that expansion draft goes. And yeah, it's been really exciting to follow. So there's your dose of NWSL news. Now let's talk a little bit about El Clásico. This was a really enjoyable El Clásico. I mean, the last few editions have been really dull, if we're being honest. Like, Valverde's Barcelona was a bit like Emery's Arsenal. You know, I've talked about that with Vic before. They just weren't very exciting to watch. Real Madrid, it's played into their hands over recent years as well, too, because they're always a team that's going to be happy to go 0-0, maybe scrape a winner, score on a set piece, something like that. That's kind of been their identity over the past few years as well. But this was a really good game. I mean, 1-1 within the opening 10 minutes. Great goal from Valverde, set up by Benzema. And then Ansu Fati becoming the youngest goal scorer in El Clásico history with the equalizer shortly after. I just can't say enough about Ansu Fati, honestly. Like, the amount of responsibility he's had to shoulder for Barca at 17 and the way he has performed has been incredible. And he really does look like that next one up for them in the attack. There's times where he's keeping guys like Griezmann and Dembele out of this Barcelona team, which is absurd for a 17-year-old. He was playing centrally in this game as a striker, which was something I personally hadn't seen before. I don't know if he has played there before for Barca or not, but it just showed his incredible flexibility and versatility on the field, and to be able to carry that role, play up front in a Clásico, I was just very impressed with him. But it was the penalty that kind of changed the game and flipped it on its head. It was 1-1 at halftime. Both teams had a bunch of chances. And then in the second half, Longley pulls Ramos's jersey on a corner kick, and Real gets the penalty. This one, you know, it was one of those where it's like, okay, they have to call it, especially if they look at it on VAR. They're going to see it was a very obvious jersey pull. But at the same time, it was such a good game, and you could tell that, especially the way Real Madrid play, that was just going to kill the game if they called that as a penalty, and that is kind of what happened. And when you compare it to, like, the Maguire one that wasn't called this weekend with the United-Chelsea game, I don't know, man. I've seen worse on corners, and I've seen it not get called. But the penalty definitely changed the game. Ramos tucked it away, and then I have to say from there, Ronald Koeman, he should have been a lot more proactive with his changes. I think as soon as that penalty went in, he should have probably switched up the Barca team, brought on some subs. Instead, he waited until like the 85th minute to make any changes, when it was very clear that Barca had some tired legs. And then he brings them like all on at once, and he's playing every single attacking option that Barca have all at the same time. Like, it was Griezmann, Messi, Dembele, Trincao, Coutinho, and Martin Braithwaite all playing at the same time. Like he was playing like a 3-7 formation. It was very wacky. But yeah, I think Koeman did a very poor job managing the end of that game. He definitely caught some heat from Barca fans, but at the same time, Real probably deserved to win it. They were the better team on the day, and so that sealed a pretty entertaining El Clásico. Now, speaking of Barcelona and Real Madrid, let's look ahead to some of the Champions League games coming up this week and do a little preview of those. I do regret not putting out any Champions League content last week because obviously there was some really good games. Shout out to Godson for reminding me to do that on Twitter. And yeah, my bad for not getting a video out, but I told you I would have you covered this week. I'm a man of my word, so let's chat about it. Speaking of Real Madrid, I think Real versus Gladbach will be one of the most exciting games tomorrow on Tuesday. Gladbach and Inter had a very thrilling match. I think it finished 2-2 in that one. This group, you know, it's going to be very interesting because that game ended as a draw, and then Shakhtar beat Real Madrid. So Shakhtar is actually top of the group right now. So this is actually like a big game for both of these teams. I think that will be a super exciting game to watch. And then the other game on Tuesday, I think this is the one that I'm looking forward to watching the most, is Atalanta versus Ajax. Last week I watched Liverpool versus Ajax because I just like watching Ajax play, honestly. I mean, if you really love ball, if you love watching great football, like, you're gonna like watching Ajax. And to match them up with Atalanta, who is a super dynamic attacking team, always packing the goals, it's hard for me to believe that this game would go scoreless either way. So I think if you're looking for goals, if you're looking for good football, Atalanta and Ajax is definitely a game to watch on Tuesday. But there are some good games elsewhere, and the one thing I want to say is if you're subscribers to CBS All Access, you got to watch the Golazo show because that show is awesome. Like, it's like NFL Red Zone, if you watched that before, where they show little bits of each game and they show every single goal as it happens, or they show the biggest highlights, biggest clips from each game. It's really entertaining. So yeah, definitely that's my plug for this episode, is watch that on these Champions League match days. If you're gonna pay for CBS All Access, you might as well. So then moving on to Wednesday, we have the biggest game of them all. I mean, come on, there's no way that UEFA didn't rig this one to appear. In what may well be Messi and Ronaldo's last seasons in the Champions League, they get matched up against each other, and we got Barca versus Juve. I mean, I don't really think there's too much I even need to say to hype up this game, because obviously we just get to see two GOATs going at it head to head, and we haven't seen that a whole lot in the Champions League. So it'll definitely be an opportunity for the fans to, you know, mouth off on Twitter and kind of go at one another. And I'm sure that it will be a super entertaining spectacle. I mean, I love Messi, but let's be honest, Ronaldo is the one who shows up most in these types of games. So I think Juve playing at home, they might have a little advantage in this one. Barca coming off that tough loss in El Clásico, they're going to need a response. And I'm really curious to see how Koeman sets up for this game and what he ends up doing with the team. So that's definitely going to be high drama, just great entertainment on Wednesday night. And the last game I'll mention is my upset watch of the week. I think Chelsea are on upset watch this week. Last week, I tuned in to Krasnodar's game against Rennes because I was trying to watch some of Eduardo Camavinga. And Krasnodar is actually a decent little team. They got a draw away at Rennes, which is a really hard place to play, and they actually had fans back in the stadium there as well. And Krasnodar actually is decent. They like playing some attacking football, and I think they can get at the Chelsea back line. The man they played up top last week was Marcus Berg, who's a Swedish international, and he was one of my favorite players from the World Cup, so I have a little rooting interest there as well. But let's be honest, Chelsea are super inconsistent, and I could totally see a stinker coming here from Lampard in them, especially if there's a lot of rotation. And this is actually a huge game in that group as well, with Sevilla and Rennes in the group. I mean, it's a must-win for Chelsea, but I could see them potentially getting slipped up here, and if they do, it could be a lot of drama. But you heard it here first. Pitchside with Parker. Chelsea's on upset watch this week. And last final note on the Champions League, be sure to look out for tomorrow morning. I'm going to drop a preview video for the Champions League featuring some young players to watch in the Champions League. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Could give you some players and some teams to look out for, some nice young talents that you can scout and check out. I'm about to record that after this, so that will be out tomorrow morning. So yes, it's been a long video, but we finally are at goals of the week. And the goal of the week is actually from last week's Europa League action and the Rangers. This goal was freaking ridiculous. I think the guy's name was Roof, If I got it wrong, I'm gonna put it right here. This goal was outrageous. The dude won the slide tackle, beat a couple of different players, and then scored from his own half. Are you joking? I mean, we've seen some great half-field goals. We've seen some great solo goals. But I can't actually remember a goal that good where he did it all himself. It was all in one play. I just run out of words, honestly, to describe this goal. But it is standalone, the only goal of the week this week, because I just had to give it that much shine. It was sick, and I hope that this week in Europe we can get some similarly awesome action. So yeah, that does it for this video. I know it was a long one, but if you're still here around at this point in the video, you are a real one. I appreciate the hell out of you, and thank you for everybody who's tuning into this. You know, show love on the other videos I'm putting out this week. I put in a lot of effort on my off days to get these videos out, so I appreciate y'all for watching them. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new, turn them post notifications on, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.